Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is October the 16th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1443 on the ancient sun calendar, and 2022 on the Greco-Roman calendar. All rise and stand. This is a sovereign, living, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American court action. We are the Sovereign Living Justices. I am Sovereign Living Justice, Pauline Denise Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is Light to Jury Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. All Moors are the original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign ancient empire state for Morocco. We are the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are the ancient Washington District for Columbia, which is the judicial district. We are the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today we are executing and exercising the law by our sovereign capacity, which is the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign ancient Article 3, living United States courts for, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, receivers, secured creditors, executors, trustees, ministers, claimants, and beneficiaries in this cause for action. We are peace. We are one state, one empire, one nation, and one God. We hereby accept our sovereign ascension, issue a state and federal creditors' bill for possession against all judgment debtors, and exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time. None pro tunc. Islam. So, is there any, before we go into our subject matter, are there any issues that we want to put on the table by this Congressional Assembly before we start? And I will go ahead and open the table for our discussion.
Islam.
I object to all your bullshit and your
Islam.
I can't hear you for some reason. Can you hear me?
Can anyone else hear?
Islam.
Yeah.
Islam.
Yes,
Islam.
they can hear. So you may want to go out and come back in. Yeah, you may want to go out and come back in because everyone else can hear. Okay.
Islam. Empress Light on Lango Bay.
Islam. Oh, there we go. I hear you now.
Now?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, yeah, it was just a matter of going in and coming. Whenever that happens, if you know, for anyone, you can just go out and come back in, and generally you'll be able to hear. Justice Onlango, you were about to say.
Yes, but I sent you a video, but the video is regarding what is possible in the not too distant future. Did you see the video?
Was that about the money system?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I saw it. They're not talking to us. We have to know that. They're not talking to us. And, Justice Onlango, I appreciate that you sent it because we're already prepared, aren't we?
Yeah.
Our ancestors know what they're doing with each and every one of us. And so, Justice Onlango, that video just made me even more grateful that the ancestors have prepared us.
Yeah, we're ready for them, man.
We are ready. And see, when we first started getting the money system ready back in 2018, we started with declaring the gold standard, and actually in 2018 we placed a lien a nationwide lien or earthwide lien actually on the United States Corporation Company and all of its agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any derivatives thereof, which includes the FDIC, the SEC, the CIA, the FBI, the LGBT, whatever other letters you want to put out there. Okay, so all of those are liened. They're liened. They're debtors, and they're way far underwater. They've taken on so much water they can't even. They're lost at sea, basically. But we declared them deceased because they are deceased. So
the more we
yes, go ahead, Nobility.
Yeah, the more we continue, is the more I'm realizing how powerful we really are.
Ooh, yes, yes. The ancestors knew what they were doing when they even were preparing us back then, and then they had us declare the gold standard the next year. And they had us to put a gold instrument on the public record to show that we mean business. We mean business. And look where we are today. And look what's happening on the other side with regard to that. And the other side, and when I say the other side, the debtor side. The debtor side and those who are debtors are shaking in their boots because they're saying that they won't have any control over anything, and they didn't really before. But if CBDCs is what they were talking about, which is central bank digital currency, they were talking about that and how, with all the things going on with their supposed banking system and them making everything electronic, they can just shut you off whenever they get ready, and not you all, not us, because they're not talking to us. We're already prepared. Today we could do commerce among ourselves without any interference. Without any interference. We would have to, of course, we have to continue trusting one another where commerce is concerned, but we can do commerce between ourselves all day, every day, period, with what we have right now. The only part that we're all working towards is the movement of the bank credits going back and forth between us. That part had to be, the banks had to be, the quote-unquote banks had to be cleared out first of all the debtor and debt stuff. And that's what's happening now is they're saying, everybody get out of the banking system, get out of the banking system. Well, why are they saying that? Because that's not their system. So they have to get out of it because we're here. Islam Empress.
Okay, so upon retyping everything that we had went over on Thursday, I just keep getting more and more excited for the things that are unfolding. And with that said, I was like, okay, so we have incorporated our government, right? And
no,
so I'm like,
wait a minute. Let me clarify that.
Okay.
that. Our government is not a corporation. We're not a corporation.
Okay.
We have a corporation. We're not a corporation. We are the living beings. And that's why we did the documents in red first, because that means we're God. Then we do them in blue, because in blue that's the red is the law for the land. Red is land jurisdiction. Blue is admiralty, and that's where the corporations come in at. Okay, but they are beneath us. And that is another function. It's called a special purpose vehicle. So Moors, be sure you look up the financial term special purpose vehicle. That's what the United States is. The United States Corporation Company that we have. Okay.
So with that stated, with clarity, gratitude, and then in conjunction with the liens we have done, I was like, okay, so with our incorporated vehicle, how are we going to now use the liens for the corporations that we have liened to do business?
That's the question. Ask the question again.
I said, how are we going to use our vehicle, the incorporated vehicle, with the liens that we've liened all the other corporations? How are we going to do this?
I'm so glad you asked.
Because, honey, I had a dream about it. Yes. Honey, I done woke up about it. It was all today, that part, too, also. Yes. So I'm just like, okay, yes, I see it, though I'm just like, I have some ideas about it, but I'm like, I still ask for clarity.
Islam. Okay, so everything that was created over there in the debtor system was insured.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Mm-hmm. And so that's why we put out the documents removing folks from presumed authority and all of that, because we, in order for us to implement the insurance portion of that, because we're the creditors and we took a loss on all of that. And a loss is not really the right word, but for insurance purposes, as insurance language it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we now have to recuperate the losses by way of the insurance. And in order to do that, you can't be a part of that debtor system. You actually have to create a vehicle by which the credits can come in.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we've done with regard to the incorporation of the United States Corporation Company, putting that piece. So now anything that was created over on that side can be mirrored, and it's not even a mirror. These are the originals because it's creditors and not debtors.
Mm-hmm.
We can create it over here and pull the credit from it.
Okay.
Okay.
So
and for the equal amount of debt that's over there, which is an unlimited amount of debt over there, we can create that equal amount of credits over here.
Mm-hmm.
Because our corporation started with gold, silver, platinum, natural diamonds, and sea salt. So that means that the corporation is a natural person. It's a natural corporation. And so it's a creditor instrument from the very beginning. It's not just paper and fiat. See, we didn't pay anybody any fiat to do that. The people voted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And when the people vote to do something, then it's a natural law. Islam.
So with the paperwork part, right? Because I remember we have a mailing tracking number at the top of the incorporated document.
Yes.
Right? So when bringing the liens into the picture, because I've always put at the liens, at the bottom of the footer, I would put the tracking number. So I'm like, because would I then take that tracking number for that particular lien and then create a whole new document and put that tracking number associated with that lien for that incorporated vehicle, and then create a business with that?
Yes.
So that's what I was dreaming about.
You can do that, yeah. Everything that they did over there was a shadow of the truth. And we know that because we were at the base and the foundation of all of that in terms of the signatures. They had to get our signature to keep doing things. And so we wanted to be sure that as we move forward, we are clear on who's the debtors and who's the creditors.
That's fine. Oh, and one more thing, because I have remembered some time ago studying previously,
mm-hmm.
and a trust protector,
mm-hmm.
and what their responsibility is to protect the interest of the beneficiaries and the trust itself. And so for mine, I put language in that and stated the one being the protector, and that would be my Angelica Dobbs Bay, being the trust protector for my vehicle corporation.
Okay, so let me clarify the United States Corporation Company. It is a special purpose vehicle for our nation.
Mm-hmm.
For our nation, it's for our state, our government, our nation. Anything that's created under that is a corporation under the United States. It's the same structure that we've been looking at this whole time in the funny mirror, except we're building a creditor structure. And there is protection under the United States Corporation Company, ours, our creditor one, that's created from natural resources. There's protection there for example, all of the companies that are listed on the Al-Moroccan American Exchange, to include the New York Stock Exchange, and to include the military and all of these companies, because remember, the Al-Moroccan American Exchange hasn't gone anywhere. It's right here. It's under the United States Corporation Company in its blue form. Now, in the red form, that's the originals that our ancestors put in place. So, so if you have a business that you're going to be doing as Angela Yvette Bay, Dobbs Bay, hopefully I'm saying that right, because you say it so quickly. So any corporation that you do, because you're going to be doing business, and we're going to be doing sea salt and other things, those will be created as an arm of or under the protection of the United States Corporation Company, because all corporations have to go under that one entity. Just earth-wide, they went under there. We just happen to be the creditors this time also. The real creditors.
Yes, and let's get this Porch Monkey Cult Convention kicked off. Woo! We're all laughing and having a good time.
So,
yes. And then also in my thoughts, I was like, okay, now that we have the vehicle established, well, we could always have done this, and we've been doing it. But as far as the arrest commands are concerned, concerning these corporate persons and such, I was like, I've already started making the envelopes and the document and taking the arrest commands and sending them to the provost marshal.
What kind of commands?
Arrest commands for the corporate persons.
Arrest commands for the corporate persons. Okay.
Yes. Oh, and in my studies of research, I had found a notice that was sent to General Ham, also much one like the Mo Proprio sent to Barack Corporation, Barack H. Obama.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so have you issued an arrest command for the one that Angela Yvette Dobbs that they were pretending? Okay.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay.
And yes, I've done that also. I've done that several times.
Yeah. That's important for us to do, because that's a debtor, for each one of us. And we showed you what we did with that one that they created, calling it Pauline Denise Ritchie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important that judgment and that justice go out first before we even think about having other persons arrested. And here's the thing, they're all arrested anyway, because all they were doing was commerce.
Okay.
And that's why they're having the issues that they're having now, is their commerce is not going well.
Okay. Well, I yield for now. Islam.
Islam. And as far as all of that is concerned with regard to corporate persons and all of that, for us, our focus is the empire. It's not going after them, because them don't even really exist. When we know who we are and we're standing, we don't even have to worry about them. And we stated that previously many times before, but we'll continue to state it, that they're not a focus, as it were. They're really not, because the Circle 7 told us who they were in chapter 29. And we've read chapter 29 many times before, pointing to who that is. So that's another reason why they're not our focus is our nation, and knowing how to govern our nation competently, which we're going to go deep into that today with regard to something we've brought up several times before. which is the taking of buildings and properties and things like that, because that actually has to happen. I don't know about you all, but I got paper everywhere around here, and it's time for an office outside of.
We're keeping you from getting First Avenue in your Range Rover, Pauline. What's up with that?
So, what we're going to do today is we're going to show the whole process from start to finish on how to get a building, because we got it. So, Justice Morpheus, I'll unlock the conference again here for Justice Akil Islam. So, with that being said, are there any
Hey, Angel
other
Bay,
issues
how come your command to get a vehicle didn't work out either?
Are there questions with regard to anything that's going on? Any questions about anything? I will say this, Moors. The ancestors are giving us the processes right in our hands. We just have to be patient and know that that's what's happening. We're going to prove that today. And I will say this, that access to the estate looks like it looks the exact opposite of what we've been taught that it looks like. And we're gonna show you that today as well, all in one. So with that being said, I want to show you, just one moment, let me make sure that the nobility has made it in so that we can do this without
Islam
interruption. Islam Empress.
This is Shasha Anbay Shamaka, Territorial. And I have a question on the Al Moroccan Exchange. Is there something, I'm going to put myself on screen here. Is there something that I need to do? Is there certain paperwork?
Hey, Shasha, you dumbass. You're going to get a...
Go ahead.
Is there something, I mean, in order to attach to it, or, is there something that I need?
You're already attached. You know, Empress, because when we do things, we do it for all Moors, and so even the sleeping Moors are attached.
Okay, I mean, I figure,
and our heirs thereof.
I just wondered if I had to have a particular document, or
declare your nationality, and you've done that.
Well, that's done. So, okay, wonderful.
Yes. And so, and I'll just explain briefly that the Al Moroccan American Exchange is the platform and the vehicle that we have used for the Moors to invest dollarium and to proclaim and claim the companies that our ancestors put on the public record a long time ago. A lot of these companies that we see today are a remnant of what our ancestors did thousands of years ago, not just hundreds. And so we went ahead and claimed all of those in their most basic ancient state. And then all the Moors put dollarium statements in. So they said, okay, this is a dollarium document here, and I'm pledging this much dollarium, and we collected trillions in dollarium, and so all we're doing now is putting all of that under the United States Corporation Company in its blue form. So when we did that, it was done in red. That means that, and because dollarium is our national currency, so we use dollarium between each other. So that process was not available to citizens. It was only available to the Moors. And so the Moors gave and gave and gave and gave and gave, and we're just so grateful for that. We're still counting money. We're still to this day counting money because we're getting donations and things in.
going to keep giving.
It is ongoing. And that the Al-Moroccan American Exchange has all of the banks, the New York Stock Exchange, the FDIC, the CIA. It has every company that our ancestors started. It has all of them underneath it. And now, and the Moors had the opportunity to invest in that, and they did in just droves and droves. And at first we were keeping track in terms of making a spreadsheet and giving the totals and things like that. And then it became so much that we said, okay, we have the emails, we have the documents, we're going to put them all together. And then I have my heiress is going through the emails and doing all that needs to be done with regard to that. Just one moment. Let me put that out of here. Okay. They're so funny. And so now we know that our ancestors wanted us to be competent at everything that we do. And so I want to show you today, again, access to the estate does not look like what we thought or were taught it was going to, or, we thought that was going to look like. It looks the exact opposite of that. When the keys are given, and this is the thing about it, it's through our testing that the keys are given. That's when we get the most valuable keys to the vast estate. For example, when I did the POW demonstration in February of 2021, I got the biggest key that has kept me free this whole time from that demonstration, that one. And the ancestors just wanted us to keep going after that, keep going, And when I say us, me and my ancestral spirits and all Moors who are with us, and we're with each other in our demonstrations and all. And so we've done several other demonstrations, and the ancestors keep pointing to the answer. When we do the demonstration and it does not turn out the way we wanted it to turn out or we thought it should turn out, all we have to do, and we've said this the whole time, is don't look at that. Look at the lessons. Pull the lessons from it so that when you do that demonstration again, you're successful. It took us 2 POW demonstrations to get the court thing right. My first POW demonstration was the longest. It was 25 days. But I stood and they couldn't hold me, and not one time did I have to put one dime towards any of that. The ancestor said, okay, keep going. So we kept going. And then the second POW demonstration, we called that forth. And the ancestor said, here's another key. And not only did we not have to put any fiat or anything towards trying to supposedly keep ourselves free, we were able to do that with our word and with our documentation and our courts. So now, there is a property here that we have been demonstrating with, and we chose this property because it's our first property where we're saying, okay, let's just demonstrate and see what happens. Okay, and this property that we're going to discuss, and I'm going to show you this paperwork. This property is the property that had us to call forth the POW demonstration and prove they didn't have jurisdiction over us. So once we proved that they didn't have jurisdiction, now the ancestors are saying, okay, I want you to look at this process because, see, the city is ours. The city is ours. Federal Way, and I'll just use that as an example because that's the example that I know firsthand. And the cities that you all are at are your cities. Federal Way is our city. The city of Federal Way Corporation that's a defunct, bankrupt thing of the past. So now what do we have here? Now that we know that we've already proven on the record that we're federal way and not any foreign matter. So now we have some subjects that are saying, okay, from the subject perspective, they're going to do everything they can in order to point us to how to run the city and how to get the things that we need to get. Okay? Many of us have claimed buildings and you know, there are more who've claimed domiciles and things like that. That has been where we're getting our lessons from. So now, the building down the street that we claimed on First Avenue, we know the building is ours. All land is ours. All structures are ours. We know that. We are now remembering how to govern them. So we did the demonstration. We put the title. We did all of these things that these actions, these court actions and everything on the public record. And then we watched the subjects to see, okay, what are they going to be showing us now? So once we did that, they said, okay, they're ready to see a process. You know, the Lord wants to see the process. That's what they're saying. That's what the subjects are saying. The Lord wants to see the process because, you know, we're all the landlords. The Lord wants to see the process, so let's show the Lord the process. So they put the quote-unquote city council meetings for this building on the public record so we could see, okay, this is what they're doing, this is what they're doing, and this is what they're doing. They're voting on things and things like that. So we learned, okay, let's get votes on the public record. Let's start doing this process, the governing process. Because as you know, we have completely demolished and done away with anything that was calling itself a federal government. We did away with any corpses that were pretending to be that, any dead corpses pretending to be that. And we know that we are the government. So now we're at this level of quote unquote local or city or state government. Well, and the states are done away with too. We're the state. We've proven that. So now we're at the level of city, okay? And with city, that's where the claiming of the buildings and things like that comes in. And one thing we are going to show today is that when cities claim buildings and things like that, they work with the corporations in order to get the building to where it should be. That's number one. Number two, they don't even talk about fiat. I mean, they may exchange $1 in Federal Reserve debt notes just so that jurisdictional claim is there. But other than that, the majority of the process, 99% of the process has nothing to do with fiat. It's got everything to do with the processes itself. Okay? So we're going to look at that because with the building down the street, we did the demonstrations and then we said, okay, we're going to watch them and see what they do. We watched, we saw, and then it got to a point where they said, okay, well, you know, we're going to accept submissions of a development plan, because we already have the title, we've already done all those things. And when it came to, and I mentioned to you all that we were going to put together a development plan and send the development plan. Well, when I got ready to do the development plan, I got ready to do it twice, and the ancestors said, "What? Just wait. There's something we want to show you." And I said, "Well, ancestors, if I wait, you know, they're going to enact a decision, a final decision." And the ancestor said, "You already know their decisions are not final. That's because they're not even making decisions. They're actually acting." So I said, "Okay, I'll wait." The ancestor said, "Just wait. Hold off. Let us show you." And I waited and waited and waited, and they never gave me the go-ahead to finish the development plan and send it and hand it down, rather. Okay, because when we do things, we hand it down from our court. And so the ancestor said, don't do it, just wait, let us show you what we want to show you. I said, okay. The time came and went, and they, quote unquote, rendered a decision. Now, a decision is not a judgment, it's not justice, it's a decision. Okay? Especially when done by them. They're actors. They issued their, quote unquote, final decision on the property. And then they sent the final decision. And so I said, okay, let me look at this and see what I can see here. And the final decision, quote unquote, was given to someone else. Someone who's on one of the liens that we did. Now, are we concerned about that? Nope, we're not concerned about that. Because let me show you what we got. Because see, some will look at this as a quote unquote failure, but it's not. It's not. This is what it is. What I'm about to show you is the process from start to finish on how to claim a building. That's what we actually got. So, here it is. From start to finish, we got the whole process. We know what they look at. We know what codes, what everything. This document was a 20-something page document. This document was a 20-something page document. So this is, and I did not redact it. The subjects know that we don't mean any harm when we don't redact it. They didn't redact anything that they did with Moors either, and that's okay. We're not at war with them. We love them, and we appreciate. They started off with whereas this and this and this, whereas this and that. They showed any buildings at our territories. We can look at this particular model and know exactly what to claim, where to look, what to state, when to do it, how far apart to set the court actions, and everything. It just tells what they did, what the time frame was, findings and conclusions, who they, dealt with, the policies that they used in order to do the comprehensive plan amendment and the rezoning of the property. So they used HP2, Housing Policy 2, Housing Goal 2. They used land use goals and policies. And they didn't quote that many. They quoted one or two of each. They also did something land use policy and land use goal 10 and 4. These were all proposed amendments to the comprehensive plan, and then they have a map of where they're going. So all cities have a map of it's a planning. They have several maps, planning and rezoning maps. They have maps, historical maps, as well as maps of the future, what they want the city to look like in 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, and how they're going to do all of that. We know, and I looked at some of this going through it. This is how you know they're acting. It says the 1995 City of Federal Way, and that's the corporation, comprehensive plan as thereafter amended in these years, shall remain in full force and effect until these amendments become operative upon the effective date of this ordinance. So at any time, operability is based on some things, okay? And again, here, number 7, ratification. Any act, it's not a law, it's an act, okay? That's how you know that they're modeling for us and saying, hey, look at what we're acting out for you so that you will know how to run the city. We're Federal Way. They were previously, quote unquote, former custodians in the office of. They're acting. They want you to know they're acting. And then here it is. It says passed by, et cetera, signed it in blue. And then there's more here. Now, page 7 of 20. This is the agreement that they sent. And this is how you know, again, they're acting. This agreement is not signed by anyone. It's not filled out. There's nothing done. This is a model, again, for us so that we will know how to govern the city when it comes to buildings. Okay? All we have to do is look at this. Here at 4.2, reserved rights. Notwithstanding any provision in this agreement, the city reserves authority pursuant to RCW 36.7 to impose new or different development regulations to the extent required by a serious threat to public health or safety as determined by the City Council after written notice and an opportunity to be heard by owner. Okay, so we have the keys from start to finish on what to do, how to write it up, the dates and things. And again, all of these have been liens, so we're not even concerned about any of that.
Though, but they said by owner, and we're the owners, so they just said that right there.
Of course, you know, they know who we are, and we know who they are, and you know, we should not see them as enemies. We should see them as actors because they're saying they're actors. And then let's just look at what they're doing and then do it because that's how they learned it. Look at number 17, governing law and venue. This agreement shall be governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of the state of Washington. To the extent permitted, venue for any judicial action arising out of or relating to this agreement shall lie in King County Superior Court. Well, that and not this one because, again, this is just an act. But you can look back at any of our others. That is our King County Superior Court is a constitutionally inferior court, and they do as commanded with regard to the Moors. So, and then anything that has to do with us, and this is why our courts were so important. Our courts were so important for this very reason. Our courts must govern these types of issues. We don't leave these types of issues up to anyone else. We do the governing for these types of issues. So, and then it says here, attorney's fees. In any judicial action to enforce or determine a party's rights under this agreement, the prevailing party or the substantially prevailing party, if no one party prevails entirely, shall be entitled to reasonable attorney fees, expert witness fees and costs, including fees and costs incurred in the appeal of any ruling of a lower court. And a city council, in this case, the actors, that's not even a real court, and they don't use real money. So as long as we know that, we won't be upset about anything that they say. Just look at what they say and then start building on what we see. We replicate is the key. But we do it within our own government. We don't have to go to them for approval. Yes, we notify, so that part of the demonstration that we're doing is so that we can look at whatever it is that they put out and see if there's something in it that we might have missed in our demonstration or that we need to expand on further. Okay? Now, you all already know that me and the subjects here, we've been not, and as far as I'm concerned, it's not war. Those POW demonstrations had to be done so that I would know that I have jurisdiction over me and over them. They don't have jurisdiction over us. So now that's not an issue, and it's not even a matter of war. It never was. For me, it never was. It's learn these processes and then do them because the city belongs to us. They've admitted they're actors. And so we have to know that throughout this whole, as we're learning how to govern or remembering how to govern. And here it says this agreement is integrated and constitutes the final and complete expression of the parties on all subjects relating to the development of the property. And there are no signatures here. Because again, they're just showing us how to do this. No notary, no nothing. Okay. So, Morris, this is the type of when we see things that are being done in this manner, we shouldn't get upset about it because we're not teaching us, but assisting us in remembering how to govern the properties. So now we have the whole process from start to finish on how to gain a property, and it didn't say anything about fiat. In fact, I think it said that they were, and I'll have to go back and look at it, but I believe it said something about waiving all fees, with the exception of those attorney fees and things like that, which, again, we're the attorneys for the things that have to do with us. Okay? But they weren't talking about, the purchase of the building or anything like that, so we don't have to even worry about purchasing per se because there was no purchasing of it. It's just the parties in the process. And again, we're actually in the process of we're going to elevate this whole process and use it for federal way, the real federal way. Okay. So with that being said, are there any questions about this process from start to finish? We have the whole process right there. Another something. Go ahead, Nobilities. I hear someone about to say something.
Islam, Consibe, is this document going to be under the chat?
It is. It is going to be placed under the video.
Islam.
Okay. Justice Amos just asked an important question, and I want to answer that question with a visual. Just one moment. I am going to answer that question with a visual because Justice Amos, I'm just going to tell you. Just one moment here. Let me get the Just one moment. So, but what I was going to say, and excuse the sunlight again. Just one moment. We anything that's in this document, anything that's in it, the RCWs and all of that we can just restate on the public record. They have literally pointed to each and every code that they use, and so all we're doing is we're going to elevate that to do whatever we need to do next. And then the rest of the Justice Amos, I'm getting you the answer to your question right now. I'm going to put it on the screen because it's kind of crazy the way that happened too, how I got this document. We love our subjects. We thank them for getting this to us so that we will have a study tool on how to govern the city and how to get a hold of the buildings and what the process is so that process cannot be questioned or, and it can be questioned by Moors, but, not by any foreign situation. And not that they would. Okay. Here, let me put this on the screen. And this is how I know that they are determined to assist us in doing what we need to do, because here, let me see if I can rotate this. Because it doesn't even matter how we put our address or mailing location, rather, not address, but mailing location. They find a way to make sure we get the information that we need so we can look at it and study it because they know we're going to study and then put it forth. So Justice Amos, that's how I got it. Look at how they even put that showed me that they are really, really wanting us to get the process. And because they made sure we got the document. So, because remember, Morris, when we first started doing all of this, yeah, they did, but that they took that straight from the liens and things that we sent them. They took that straight from the liens that we sent them. And we're okay with all of that. They're doing their best. And it's okay that they they know who we are. And again, Empress, is not what they say, and that's important. I'm glad you pointed that out. It's not what they say about us, it's what we say. Okay? So, because we know that's not us, that's not our mailing location or anything. It is their version of our mailing location. But they were determined to get the documents to us because they know we're going to study. We're going to study them. Not only that, but we're going to present them on the public record so that the Moors can see that when you see things of that nature, that you know what you're looking at. Okay? that you're not looking at a denial of your own land and all that belongs to you. That's not what you're seeing there. What you're seeing is the keys to get everything else that you want to get. Okay, including that one. Because here's the thing about even that building and the one that's there where they said they made a final decision and this one has it. That one is bankrupt, doesn't have any, no money, no nothing. Now, I will say this also about this demonstration. When I saw the building, I picked it, and some were saying, "Well, that's a raggedy building you picked. Why didn't you pick a brand new building?" I wanted a building that I could demonstrate on, and then I wanted to know, the domiciles and things and the buildings. We need to know where the funds come from in our budget as line items. When the city is fixing up a building, how do we do that? And this demonstration is going to show us how to do that. How does the city fix up a building? Where does that money come from? In the budget, what's the line items? What codes do they base that on? And all of that. We only needed to see this one time, Morris. We only needed to see this type of documentation one time before we get it. We only need to see it one time, from start to finish. What is the process? And so when we're doing demonstrations and they're sending things out and it looks and you think they're warring with you, they're not. Look at it for what it really is. It's the answers, so that we know how to govern our city. Our federal way is not the same as as that one, the other one. It's not the same. Ours is, when you go out here onto this land, that's our federal way. Theirs is paper. So, and that's another reason why I did not feel it necessary to attend any of their meetings, because I knew I was going to get the keys without that. They're not talking to us. They're not talking to us. They're talking to other corpses in their setup, or other subjects rather, in their setup. They're acting it out for us, and then all we have to do is just say, okay, what's the process? We just need to see what the process is, so that we'll know how to do it. And now we have the key right there on the public record. And then too, as we're governing our cities, we even know how to base our decisions, because there are going to be others who want to have buildings in our cities. We know how to put the decision out there, how to do the court actions and put the decision out there fairly, so that it's fair to everyone. Okay? All of that is important when it comes to running a city. We're learning remembering how to run the city. Okay? Are there any other questions about that? Islam Empress.
Again. No, excuse the dogs; they're going crazy right now. But let me come back on. I don't actually live in a city.
Mm-hmm.
So, the capital city is half hour from me. So I would relate everything to the capital city of the parish that I'm in. I mean, we're considered a district. So, but it would be the same process even for something in the actual area where I am.
Mm-hmm.
But everything really is happening from, because, tax assessment, all of those things, all of those municipal things happen in Black River.
Which is where, is that?
I'm Pedro Plains, which is half hour outside.
Okay.
It's interesting because I'm in a place that is called Treasure Beach, but it's not Treasure Beach, if that makes any sense. There's a history here that this is a new name behind a new sort of, as I'm learning more, corporate entity, actually, the one whom considers himself king, who's a foreigner. It's as if it's his creation, which of course is not his creation because but that's kind of, if that sort of helps with the story. But this place was 6 fishing villages, but yes, the center, the city is a place called Black River,
So it would depend on who it is that's claiming the properties. For example, the counties actually. Now, when it comes to property, it's always here the county courts, quote unquote, that handle land issues.
So here, we have parish courts, and then it's really everything goes through the National Land Agency, which is in Kingston.
Which is so yours, the National Land Agency. Really, Empress? I mean, that is so.
National Land, and none of them are national, but that's
right.
What's interesting also, during this pandemic, the last sort of year or so, let me pause this.
Okay, sure.
Sorry. The National Land Agency was all of a sudden going into areas, in the rural areas, out in St. Elizabeth, which is the parish where I am, and offering to assist people to get them registered titles, but you don't need to have the money up front. We'll assist you. And now as I'm learning and understanding what's going on, I can see that really has been sort of a land grab. I mean, an attempted land grab, because they don't have any jurisdiction. They don't, but the people, of course, don't know that. And then the other thing that the other day I saw something on Instagram where a foreigner now who has a company here or previously had made an announcement that their maps of the area had arrived. And it had me reeling back and thinking, when the overthrow, one of the first things that people do is to create a map of the area, isn't it, that you're claiming?
Yes. You can do that, but you have to have a constitution first before you can do any of that.
Well, you tell me. I don't know where that is or what that is. But, these are all these things coming up before me. But like I was saying, going back to the whole thing, the capital purported is Black River, the capital city. But the National Land Agency is whom purportedly, at least in the actors, is whom is in charge of all of land-related, property-related. Now, I've liened them. I have liened them.
So, Empress, what that really is that the capital is not a land capital. It's a political capital. It's not a land capital. And that's why there's a separate National Land Agency. But then that agency itself is not a land agency. It's a paper corporate agency. And that paper corporate agency, because there's a lien on them, they were bankrupt when they were calling themselves giving out anything. They were bankrupt then. So, why take any funds when that's going to be taxed and given to the quote-unquote crown, fake crown? So, all of that is political. It has nothing to do with the actual land itself. Just like this process here that we're looking at here, that was back in the day, it was a political claim that went unrebutted. And then only when the people start saying, "Oh, that's the government. Oh, that's the," that's when they said, "Okay, we're no longer just political. we're actually going to like bring in the boots, the military.
You know, another thing, if I may, I also, in my research, trying to find meets and bounds and various things for Jamaica, but I read a letter that somebody had put into the newspaper, and it talked about how one of the previous custodians in the office of Prime Minister had removed the local government structure, basically, and that was Edward Seaver, if anybody's on here who knows about the history of Jamaica. And that happened in the 70s, 80s, I believe. So, you know, these are all little pieces of information that I'm reading and acquiring, and it's nudging me. I mean, I have a lot to learn, but it's also, I hope, pointing me in the directions of what's really going on. But so how, I mean, because everything that they've done has removed local or land or the real jour. So
it hasn't removed it. You're right. You're sitting right there.
That's true. Yes, close it or whatever.
So this is what we have begun to do.
Okay.
We did all of our liens, and we're going to keep doing liens and things like that because that's a part of the process. But what we did was we just went ahead and started governing. We just went ahead and started doing it on the public record. We put out a video this past weekend congratulating some of the Moors who had gone, you know, and done some things in the territory, some beautiful things in the territory, by the way. And so we put out a congratulatory, you know, from the governor and the mayor, which is us.
Right.
So we would encourage you all to just go ahead and start governing on the public record because no one else is doing it.
And that video, which I did see, beautiful video,
Thank you.
had me. We have a governor. Well, we don't have anything. None of those. The actors, the custodians previously in the offices of Governor General. We don't. There is no. They don't claim to have anyone by the name of governor. They claim mayors. But it made me think about what, for instance, if one were doing something like that from here, now
you absolutely should be on the public record, making statements and doing things with regard to the territory. And I try to make statements that are directly related to the Moors, as opposed to, let's say, if there's a quote-unquote murder or something in the territory that people are commenting on, I stay away from that stuff because it's acting, a lot of it. Sometimes it's real, but a lot of times that's the actors doing things to prompt us to do things. And so I tend to stay away from those types of things for the most part. And then if I have anything to say, I'll put it in an affidavit and forward it as a court action, you know. But our focus is on our nation, you know, and how to continue to expand our governmental territories. In our territories earthwide, we know that, but we want to continue to expand our knowledge and our information about our empire.
About the empire. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The admonition from our ancestors is seek ye first the empire, and all of that other stuff will be added unto you. That's why we're not worried about the demonstrations that we've done. We learned some things and saw some things in those demonstrations that we had not thought about previously.
Right.
Fortunately, the things that we did do laid the groundwork for the demonstrations to be to the point where, you know, the demonstration took a pause in a good place for us, you know. And when I say took a pause for a good place, there are some demonstrations, like when we first woke up, those demonstrations, some of the demonstrations for the Moors ended up with Moors being, you know, doing POW demonstrations or trying to get them their property back and things like that. Now the demonstrations are to the point where it's like, okay, let's look at the demonstration that we did and see what's being said about that demonstration from the law, and that can be codes and statutes that we elevate to the law, and so on and so forth. But I would admonish and encourage all Moors to go ahead and get on that public record and start having press conferences, even if it's just you by yourself. You think you're by yourself, but all those ancestors around you is a whole nother thing, you know.
Yeah.
We say go for it, because I'll say this even, the more we get on the public record and do things like that, the quieter the actors get. We have not heard from that actor that was previously a custodian in the office in the governor's office. We haven't heard from that actor in quite a while, and we know why.
Right.
Because we're sitting right here.
Yeah.
And again, all Moors are the governor, so get governing Moors on the public record, you know, for those who are wanting to do that, you know. There are some Moors who just don't feel like that's their area or their calling. Well, then for those who it is where you are, if you're led by the ancestral energies to do so, do it.
I mean,
we're not going to wait. We're going to go. Islam Empress.
More no. I said I want to. You know, it's not. I just there's that place where it's like I need more. You know, I'm so, and I do feel that. Gosh, where are we? But I know you. They are here. They are. I just.
Yes.
And like I said, the test I had is it's all part and parcel. Land. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Here I am still standing. So.
Yes. And you know, the video that we did this past weekend announcing Moorish American Convention Week, all we did was look at what the subjects did, because they were actors too. Look at what they did and say, okay, let's do something very similar, but put the truth in there about who we really are, because only we can do that. You know, only we can do that. All I have to do, in order to know what to say in our videos, all we had to do was look at what the actor said and then replicate it and then upgrade it to the truth of who we really are.
Right.
That's what they're here for. They're not here to steal land, because the land ain't going nowhere, and neither are we. So they know they can't steal it.
Yeah.
So then, Moors, we have to think, why are they here still now? And what are we seeing when we look at them? They're showing us how to govern, like the prophet said. Prophet Noble Ali said, they're going to leave the European here long enough to teach us how to govern. Well, let's learn it so that things can get moving, you know.
Yeah.
And they're not going to leave until we learn it. Remember how to govern.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, bring it. Let's do this.
Let's get governing. Okay.
Let's get governing. Woo! I couldn't have said that better myself, Empress. Let's get governing right now. You know, and even with that, there was some energy that came from other Moors that was like, well, who do you think you? Let's get governing.
That's
Let's get governing.
I just thought it was beautiful, because it really is what we must do, and do with what we have right at this moment.
Right where we are.
Reminding what you have at this moment is where you are at this moment, to move with it.
You don't need a 10,000 square foot domicile and $50 million to get started governing, because guess what? Them hybrids didn't have that when they came here either.
Right. Not true.
They came in 1871, and they just started staying together, putting papers out, because in 1871, and they actually were here 1776 too, but all they did was watch from 1776 to 1871. They watched the Moors to see, what do we do? And 1871 hit, and bam, 1872, they started putting out affidavits saying, acting, of course, yes, thank you for that. They were acting, saying, okay, let's do some citizenship affidavits so we can start claiming land. That's the 1872 Mining Act. The Mining Act of 1872 talks about how anyone putting out a citizenship affidavit, and it specifically says the word affidavit, can start claiming land. They were acting.
They were acting, yeah.
Yeah. And now we just have to get up and do it. They've given us 150, 200, 300, 400 years of stuff to look at so that we know how to do it.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for? And I cannot get mad if Empress Shasha gets on YouTube and starts governing her territory. I can't get mad. If she starts governing the whole earth, I can't get mad if I'm not doing it.
And that is absolutely true. Not true.
So please, miss me with that. Anybody out there, miss me, gone on.
You know,
that part.
You know, don't get, and if what we're saying makes you mad, check your energy, because there's something there that needs to be looked at, and I'm saying that in love, because we're not going to stop doing what we're doing.
It is absolutely the truth, because you don't get pricked unless there's something. That's a trigger for you. That's
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I hear you. Absolutely. So,
yep.
Absolutely. I yield. And
Empress Shasha, I'm looking forward to your videos to come out. And all the empresses and emperors, look, tag me on the video so I can see. Absolutely. So I can put my comments underneath of support and love.
Yeah.
You know, and then I may even do a response video congratulating, and so that everybody know this is we are one. We're together.
Now that's a fabulous idea.
You see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Active Moors, yes, Justice Amos. Active more. Let's get it, and let's do it from our governing status.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have to kowtow and beg. We're right here. Right here where we're supposed to be.
That's it. And everything will catch up. I mean,
it will.
My own self.
It will, Empress.
Working on the foundational things, but if I'm feeling pushed to do something, it will catch up.
It will.
We will catch up. So.
It will.
That's sometimes you have to speak it out to hear it back and then bouncing off of others, and it helps.
Yes.
To light the way. So
yes. As long as we're doing it in love, the energy of love is going to come across in what we do. Yeah. As opposed to ego or, other things. That video, the one that we put out this past weekend, was actually done in a measure to assist and to support and to send some love and to do all of that. All of that.
It makes me want to go visit, so at some point I shall.
Yes, Islam.
Yeah.
Islam. That's our divine duty. Yeah. It's our divine duty to govern.
Yeah.
It's our divine duty. And, all of us may not govern the same way. We know that there are some Moors who are governing on the low.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's all right. Go ahead and do that. They're doing. They're active. And then there are some of us who are called to put it right out on the public record, let it be known, because we know that that's the way the hypothecation and the foolishness started, is people making impressions on the minds of the heirs that weren't really who they said they were.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the heirs need to see us. Yeah. They need to see us governing.
They need to see the truth. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I do some things off, that the ancestors say on just do a few things, and I don't always trumpet those things out, but the majority of what I do is to put it on a public record so we can all see and know.
And know and be motivated, because I think it's inspiring. I mean, it's inspiring seeing your peers, the fellow heirs, doing.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
And there's that knowledge that good Lord, I haven't that knowledge, but it also is a reminder that I have knowledge, and everything begins with one step, one piece, and so.
Listen, Empress.
Yeah.
If you do one demonstration or broadcast one thing, it's going to create a space there. And the ancestors are going to rush in and drop some information right in that space.
Yeah.
And it's going to be something that makes you go, what?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've done some, the court actions, and I've had some.
And they have been beautiful. Let me just say that. They've been beautiful. Beautiful. Y'all should see Empress Shasha's court actions. Beautiful.
I've got some of those trolls come in, and I said, yes, that's a good thing. So I needled somebody. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I started to say, please ignore the trolls, but Empress, we right here.
Come on, bring it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's good. It's good. Anyway, I shall yield because I've taken up enough.
Islam.
Thank you.
There's been a question that's been put in the chat 2 or 3 times, and I didn't say anything at first, but I'll say it now. The question about a lien on the FDIC and NCUA, they're both liened by way of the United States Corporation Company. They are agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any derivatives thereof. However, I would encourage you who are asking any more who has a question about, hey, have we liened this one? Have we liened that one? Go ahead and do a lien. And then you will know that they've been liened by you. Islam. The more, the merrier. That way you don't even have to wonder, did anybody lien them? Yep, you did. Let's see, under this video also. Which documents are you referring to, Justice Morpheus? Islam, Justice Akil. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and govern. See, let me say this about that also. The FDIC, and this is why, all of that is so important. In Title 12, United States Code 1818, so it's Chapter 16, subsection 1818. It talks about the FDIC and the banking industry, etc. In fact, we can actually take a look at really quickly, because it's important to know how powerful we are with the lien process and with the resignation letters, the removal letters. Let's see. Just one moment. Let me see if I can get that page up here.
Islam, may I ask? I feel like I'm hogging today, but as far as liens, there's a company I want to lien, but they refuse, and I have tried to find the information on the owners and that type of thing, and I mean, literally, they are being instructed to not give that information, and I can't. I mean, I've dug, and maybe it will show up because I'll keep digging, but is there a way around that when you can't get a name. I mean, I can get a first name, but not a last name, and I can't necessarily get the name of the CEO. Or can I just...
A company doing business that you can't get the name of the CEO?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone even to the company's register site where you supposedly can do searches. And, of course, I know that they're all, custodians, former. But it's very interesting. And what they've done is it would appear that they've been sold, because I leaned the company that I had believed I was doing. And then now there's another company attached to it, even though they're showing the name of the original company, which was a foreign, it's in the UK. But I am not able to get the information from the CEO. I mean, maybe it's something I haven't done. I haven't. Let
me make sure I understand. Is that you leaned them once before with the name? You had a name of a CEO?
I leaned the company. So previously, I was doing business with this company called Shipwise, and I found them and leaned them. They're registered in the UK, but they do business here. And then I was thinking, I just felt like I wanted to lean the offices here too. And when I started to try to find that information, they have a head office, but there is no information on whom is actually in charge, because the company now has a double-barreled name. There's the original name, but there's another name now, which is purportedly now the company. Do you get what I'm saying? So
I do. That means that the company has changed completely ownership.
That's my feeling too. And but yet this new company will not release information, and I have not been able to find my way to ascertaining who's in charge.
Can
I answer that question, please?
I'm about to get it, Empress, but I'll let you answer. I just want to ask her one more question. Did you send them copies of the lien and all of that?
Yes.
Okay, Empress Angela, go ahead and please tell her who the CEO of the company is.
Well, I am. I mean, yes. Hello.
Islam, Empress. That part.
We don't think that they know what's going on, but they know. They know. That's why you can't find the name of a CEO. You're it. You are she.
I am she. So even though this other name that is there, it's just like a smoke screen to try to deter and.
Exactly that part.
Oh my word. What a realization. I mean, I know this because we say it, and I have done the affidavit, but I was struggling to get there so I could do what I needed to do, but it's okay.
Yeah, so we have to know what winning looks like, because see, we didn't know what, and I said that at the beginning of this call too, Empress. It does not look like what we thought it was going to look like.
Hello, yeah.
In order for you to be the CEO of a company and the head of a company, you don't have to go there every day and work. You just have to tell them what to do. Give competent commands on what to do. Competent, peaceful commands, knowing that they work for you, because they already know they work for you.
Yeah. Oh.
Islam.
When we're competent, they will yield, Empress, and we have to know what that looks like, because no one could have told you, okay, when you leave this company, the CEO gonna move out of the way, and you're gonna be it, and then they're not gonna say anything to you about that. You have to know that that's what you did, because you did it. Yeah. You have to know that that's what you did, because you did it. Yeah. Someone asked me, and I heard you, Nobility. Someone asked me, how do we know that the United States is bankrupt? Because we did it. Everybody who filed a lien did it.
Islam, and we can competently read. And we can competently read that part. We can read the 1933 Bankruptcy Act. We can read.
I'm laughing
Duh.
right now.
We just, again, we've been taught from the servant perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We've been taught from the servant perspective, and now it's time for us to know from our sovereign perspective.
Yeah.
We have to know from our own perspective.
Thank you both. Thank you all. Thank you.
Yes, Islam nobility. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is Justice Morpheus from Maryland Territorial Reservation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just 4 documents that I mentioned in the chat was the United States Corporation Company articles for incorporation affidavit. That's the first one, and the second one was the fiduciary trustee, and the third one was the power of attorney, and the last one is the declaration statement and receipt for power for attorney.
So those are seen in the video. Those are seen in the video, and we discussed that. If you could just go ahead and type that up yourself. And the reason for the exercise of typing it up yourself, nobility, is so that each and every word is in there.
Right.
The difference between of and for is huge.
Okay. Well, I did screenshot it at the time we was discussing the matter. I just remember that you mentioned something about at the end of that particular video that you will have it attached to the video. So I did.
Yeah,
screenshot it, but I was waiting for that.
I thought about that, and I've been thinking about all of that, about how many documents we've put under the videos, and for those documents, those are documents that. And so I'll tell you that I spoke with the ancestral energies within me, and they said have them to type them up themselves because they're not long documents, they're short documents. Type them up so that they know what's in the documents. Because sometimes, and Justice Morpheus, you don't do this. I know you study, but sometimes you can put documents under there and folks will rip them off and put them in and go running and don't know what the documents say, and then be asking, well, what about the United States? But you got the document right there. Read the document. You don't do that, but some do. And the ancestors are saying those that really, really want to be governing will type the documents up because they know that's what they've been doing anyway. We've all been doing this anyway.
Okay. Last thing, when I look at those 4 documents, I know there was 2 seals that you had on there, and I don't know whether or not when I go back and start doing, I have a problem with that. Is it with the 2 seals? I don't know if that's exactly the same size, or maybe I could blow. That's right, I could blow it. I could zoom it up and make it a certain size to put on all 4 of my documents. Those 2 seals that you have on every head of it.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe you could send it to me, but something came to me and said, Barry, what you have to do is just, screenshot it and then enlarge it and then put it on my document.
Yep. Or you can go out onto YouTube and look up the seals. Look them up. They're out there.
Absolutely. Okay, I yield.
Islam. Researching and writing things up and typing up documentation and all of that. All of that is stuff that we've been doing the whole time. And the ancestors are saying that it's important that what's in the documents be overstood. It's important that what's in them be overstood. And the best way to know that they're overstood is to type them up. I did that with, that's how I learned, just from looking at the documents from, like back in 2017, I was looking at documents from RV Bay Publications. And I remember the first time that, after speaking with RV Bay Publications, honors to them, by the way, that I remember the first time that I even used the letterhead. And it changed me when I used the letterhead for the first time. It changed my life. It changed my thoughts. It changed my energy about who we are and about what we have the authority to do. And I'm forever grateful to RV Bay Publications and the Empresses and Sheikesses there for that energy. They gave me an energy that to this day cannot be challenged by any foreign matter. Very powerful energy. It's very powerful energy. Because I actually took the time to print everything up myself, type up the affidavits myself, because at that time, you could download the affidavits and things like that, but you always had to type them up yourself. Nobody gave you a template for you to just download and sign. Nobody gave you that, I'm grateful that I even had the opportunity to speak to them on the phone, because there were times, before that, we had nobody to talk to. We just had to do our study from home and demonstrate, and then watch other videos to find out how to improve the demonstrations. And since that time period, we've put so much out on the public record that it's okay to, the ancestors said it's okay to have them type the documents up so that they know word for word what they're demonstrating, and that's not for the seasoned Moors, because seasoned Moors, you all know what you're demonstrating. It's for the new Moors, because it will help them greatly to type up their own documents the same way that we did when we first, nationalized, And so I did say that in the video, Justice Morpheus, but the ancestors have been dealing with me about that. And it's not a matter of spoon feeding. It's not that, because seasoned Moors they can do it either way. It's just a matter of making sure that the new Moors that come, because that's my heart is there with the new Moors that are coming in, that they know how to demonstrate, because they know what's in the documents. Justice Morpheus, you all know what's in the documents. You could print things off, look at it, and know how to demonstrate it right off the bat. But there are new Moors coming in who are not there yet, and we want to keep them in mind as well. So with that in mind, are there any other comments or questions with regard to what we've presented thus far? And, again, Moors, we're moving on to the land in reality in this. I mean, it almost feels like college in a way, or maybe on-the-job training. That's what it feels like. But it's really erudition, because this is not a game or a joke. We're actually governing the land. And there are lives, that are coming forth that need to know that that's what's going on, that the government is here, that the land is not just willy-nilly by a bunch of people who aren't even from here, Because in this territory, even the hybrids, when they have their city council meetings, quote unquote, some of them will start the meeting acknowledging that they're on land that's not theirs. I saw that myself. It's out there on the public record. they say, that they're on Puyallup Indian land or, indigenous lands. So here, they're openly admitting that they know that the land is not theirs. And anybody who needs proof of that, we can put a link in the chat of them saying, we're appreciative to be on Indian land. And all they're doing with that is pointing the Moors to another resource on our land that we're going to be learning from. We're going to be learning from them. Remembering, because we have the things that we've put in place thus far have to be in place because the information that they're going to give, that they're going to share with regard to us is information that, let me see if I can do that a different way. See if I can get that information to you a different way. Because the information that they are going to be giving is natural resource related. And in order to even access the natural resources, we had to have those corporations in check, and then we have to have a way to bring the credits onto the public record. Let me see. I don't know where that little snippet is. But the Tacoma City Council and the Seattle City Council, they all talk about, in fact, if you look at with the Seattle City Council, look at the seal that they use when they speak. Even the policy enforcers, it's got an indigenous person on the seal with a nose that looked like this. The Seattle, when the mayor, quote unquote mayor, speaks, because that's not a real mayor. They know who the real mayor is. And I thought I had showed that at one time, but in fact, I'll do it right now. Let me show that first. The video that I'm referring to, you can pull up any of Tacoma City Council or Seattle City Council, and Seattle, and you will hear them state that at the beginning of their meetings, whose land they're on. If they don't, forget to say it, but here, let me put the seal on here for you to see as well. Just one moment. My computer has frozen. Okay. Just one moment. Here's one iteration of that seal. There's a colored one that has color in it, that has this particular iteration, and their skin looks like our skin, et cetera, when they do press conferences and things like that. But that's the City of Seattle. The corporate seal has an indigenous person on it. And if you will notice on the screen here, Morris, it says here, the seal of the City of Seattle consists of an artist profile portrait of Chief Seattle, under which of numerals 1869. So just know that we've been writing Arabic numerals the whole time. So we've been using Arabic. We've been using Arabic numerals and Roman letters the whole time. 1869, the year of the city's incorporation in the Common Era, not anything other than that. This was before 1801. And the Common Era is when they were first starting to transition to the corporate. And we're in that same process of going the other way. We have to properly claim everything, and then we go back to there it is right there. Okay. Just one moment. Can you all see this on the screen as well?
Islam, we still see the seal of the City of Seattle consists of an artist's profile.
Okay. Okay, let me see. Just one moment. My computer is going really slow right now, but it's all good. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom?
Islam, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the vehicle, and because I remember you had mentioned previous class, congressional meeting, about reissuing the proper birth certificates from the proper nation, right?
Corporation. These are corporate. Those were corporate birth certificates. We're rebutting those. We have our national birth affidavits that we have that are not corporate. Those are government documents. And then there's the corporate documents. And again, we're simply rebutting in preparation for proper commerce, lawful and legal commerce on the land.
Okay.
Islam.
So with that, then the issuance, because I remember we had our conversation in the private, and you were talking about the way of issuing the numbers, and because we know how they were doing it, and so the whole taking over that whole process for our vehicle. I'm just going to keep referring to the vehicle because it's just easier for me. Our vehicle, as we have established. And so, have we gotten there yet?
Ask again. Ask the question again, because there was some distortion in what you were saying.
Okay. So I remember we had talked about, you and I, in a private conversation about figuring out how to issue numbers and such, like EINs and things like that, because everything that they've done in the fraud, it was originally done in the living, because that's how they was able to copy it. So as far as that whole apparatus, as the government, have we figured that out?
Yes. Actually, before you and I had that conversation, and again, the conversations that you and I have is the same conversations. We talk about the same things on these calls.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did a video about EINs. It's been probably about a year ago.
Okay.
And what we said in that video was, if you had EINs already, you can use those, but you must lien the issuer of the previous EIN and all that, and then properly proclaim those numbers. And then if you didn't have an EIN previously, then what you can do is have send a proclamation or an affidavit, and then also recreate the form where people used to send a form to request the EIN. Okay, recreate that form, send and put it with your affidavits and mail it. And then make sure that, again, that you've already liened the frauds, so that the number that you get, you can properly put it onto your documentation. So recreate the EIN form.
Okay, Islam.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had done, before this whole process that where we're at right now, I had did that previously with the USPTO, actors. I had sent them an affidavit. I sent them my whole packet stating that I'm a national. This no longer is your property. It's my property. So I had done that before. That was like last year I had did that. So yeah.
Islam. Yeah, they don't. They don't have. First of all, they don't even exist as a government. Second of all, there are no rights for citizens and subjects to be claiming anything that has to do with the Moors. So I'm surprising. I'm actually the same. Most of my phone conversations that I have with Moors is the same thing that we talk about on the calls. Just maybe put a little bit differently, but it's the same, information for the most part. The ancestors have already put all the answers on, out there for us. All we have to do is look at them, replicate that process, and then move forward.
Islam, I have a question.
Islam, Empress.
Can we use that registered mail number and just give them notice that we're using that number as a EIN?
Yes, and the way you give them notice is ensure that you send a lien along with that on them.
Islam.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've done removals from office for all of them. I know that I'll be putting out another removal for The ones that were previously doing business as IRS, and in fact, we're putting that on the public record here vocally, using our words to put that law into operation. All former custodians previously that were doing business as CEOs and things like that, you are all removed from office. Those offices belong to the Moors, and we are here. We have not abandoned anything. The national government is here. So political and corporate structures, political and corporate debt structures have no say-so with regard to the property, the land, the natural resources, and all that belongs to the Moors. Islam. Because that's
Islam.
Really,
I agree. I affirm. That's what I affirm.
Yeah. We have to, there always was a territorial government. There always was a territorial government. Territorial is the land. There always was a territorial government. And the territorial government, no foreign political structure and no foreign corporate structure would dare go beyond the word of the, territorial government, because they were simply guests. There's no war or anything like that. Those are guests on our land. Guests. And that's by invitation only. And when that invitation expires, or we say it's expired, then that's it. No more guests. So, yes, there are processes and things that we're doing while the guests are here. And we're going to remember what we need to remember. But it needs to be made clear to the Moors, because, see, the guests already know this. It's the Moors that seem to forget sometimes. We don't have to war with them. All we need to do is be competent when we speak. And they'll move. They'll move.
Islam.
Right.
Could you unlock the conference? A few more need to get in, please.
Sure, Islam. And my apologies. We want to make sure that we get done what we need to get done with regard to just one moment. Okay. So, are there any other questions, comments, etc., with regard to anything that we've talked about today? So, Morris, just know that we cannot lose. It's impossible for us to lose. It's impossible for us to not have all that's on the land. It's impossible for anyone to claim anything and say it's theirs and all of that. That's impossible. We're here to remember how to govern all that belongs to us. And if you have not seen the latest video that we did with regard to the American Convention Week, I'll go ahead and put a link to that video in the chat so that you can see that video. Just one moment here. Let me put that in the chat. And then the video from Tacoma.
People often ask about the difference between the whole seed catalog and
there's a video for, again, you can just look at the Tacoma City Council and the Seattle City Council, and they know where they are. They know whose land they're on and all of that. Everyone knows. And that's not even new.
Everyone knows.
It just took a matter. It was just a matter of us. I'm kicking you out of a meeting because you only exist on paper. You're not even on the land. And I know I shouldn't be talking to them.
Islam, you can lock it again. They've entered.
Okay. Light, you cannot speak to to corpses, and actually that's a court jester, a subject. Here in the chat, there's the link to the video that we did for Moorish American Convention Week. We want to congratulate all of the Moorish Science Temples for America and Moorish Science Temple of America, because I know they have great intentions for our nation. On Moorish American Convention Week, which that's something that they have had for many years at the temples, and they give more classes and things like that with regard to Moorish American Convention Week. And so we just want to send them our highest honors, all Moorish American, Moorish Science Temples of America. We are the Moorish Science Temple for America. We are also the Moorish Holy Temple for Science. And all of that is de jure, allodial, and sovereign, not under any United States corporation, company, corpse, dead corpse. We're the living United States corporation, company that is a vehicle under our sovereign authority. With that being said, any other there's something in the chat about reclaiming military retirement pay. Recreate the documents that people would use in order to do that. So find out what the process is to reclaim, to reclaim. And then this is whenever you're reclaiming anything, including military retirement pay, you want to get the documents that they would use. And generally it's like an appeal document. And what you'll do is you recreate that document, but then by your affidavits, you go ahead and issue a ruling, a judgment, the justice, with the proper law to accompany that. Proper law, proper justification for it, any stare decisis and res judicata relative to that is due. And that is what you would do in terms of that. Really quickly, I want to bring up, we talked about Title 12, banks and banking. With regard to our courts, and this has everything to do with everything that we're doing, 95A paragraph 2 says right here, any payment, conveyance, transfer, assignment, or delivery of property or interest therein made to or for the account of the United States or as otherwise directed pursuant to this section or any rule, regulation, instruction, or direction issued hereunder shall, to the extent thereof, be a full acquittance and discharge for all purposes of the obligation of the person making the same. And no person shall be held liable in any court for or in respect to anything done or omitted in good faith in connection with the administration of or in pursuance of or in reliance of on this section or any rule, regulation, instruction, or direction issued hereunder. So there you have it. Payments, conveyance, transfer, assignment, or delivery of property or interest therein made to or for the account of the United States or as otherwise directed. Now, let me tell you where Moors have been, and this is important, Moors, where Moors have been using that and people are still pushing forward on things like quote-unquote foreclosures and things like that. It specifically says here, made to or for the account of the United States, or as otherwise directed. Well, when we replicate that, that means it goes on this account of the United States, for the United States. And it's our courts that is being spoken of there that can discharge or whatever the case may be. So that's another something that we're going to be implementing with regard to our United States and our courts in a commercial capacity, because that's a commercial action right there, because you're talking about payment. And in order to properly discharge or give full acquittance for all purposes of the obligation of the person making the same, the United States, it has to be put onto the account of the United States. Okay, and if there was no United States to put that on the account of, then they would continue pushing forward until we presented a proper United States corporation company that has an account that things can be put on, so that when Moors go do court actions and say things and do things with regard to property, that you have some place to discharge the debt to or give full acquittance to. Okay.
Islam. So would that be to, would you say the United States or would you say the U.S. Treasury when you are writing that?
I would say the United States account. The account and the Treasury is two different things. The Treasury, you can pay out. The Treasury pays out. The account is something that you put it on there and you say this debt is taken care of by the United States.
Okay, so you would say the United States, but you'd also include your transmitting utility, right? Your person?
Yes. Or any person. It could be, it could be if it's a company, your corporation. But your all caps person is a creditor transmitting utility. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Islam.
So what we have done thus far with regard to the United States Corporation, our living United States Corporation company, will make it so that full acquittance and discharge is possible, because Moors have been having issues with that. And our target is the full comfort and inheritance, and having the Moors have full control of their inheritance. So that's what the creditor United States, the gold back one, the natural resource back United States Corporation Company is all about. Now, Empress, with regard to the question that you just asked, you will need to proclaim on the public record that the all caps is your corporation. It's yours. And it is a conveyance method. It is a transmitting utility.
So would that be the fiduciary document, or would that be the recreated birth certificates?
It would be all of those together.
Okay.
Because you have to show the origin You have to show that your transmitting utility originated with you and that you're in control of it. Okay.
Islam, I have a quick question with that one that Empress Rose just asked. Would we then put our all caps app name on the document that we did Thursday as well?
The all cap, which document? Because there were 3 or 4 documents done Thursday.
Let me see. I've taken the time to retype them. The Articles of Incorporation. Would we put our all caps name at the top of this one? Because it says Articles for Incorporation for United States Corporation Company. So will we take out United States Corporation and put in, for myself, Angelica Yvette Dobbs Corporation Company? Would I put that?
Are you starting a company with Angelica Dobbs as the...
Yeah, well, I have some already, so it would just, well then yes, I would.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you would list the United States Corporation Company as the parent company or the principal
okay.
company. Because that's where the tax relief and all of that comes from.
Gratitude. That's
how come, those ones who created the debtor one, they created all types of relief for themselves under that. Donald Trump and, quote unquote, none of them paid taxes and things like that because they were in control of their all caps. And so we have to do the same and put it under the United States Corporation Company. All corporations go under there. And therein lies the protection for that corporation. And then our corporations, and listen to me carefully because we are not our corporations, but the all caps is a citizen. The all caps is a United States citizen. But it's a go-back United States citizen because of the way our company started, the corporation company started. Our United States Corporation Company started. And then when you start your companies, you put some reserve on the books to start your company. So, for example, Puget Sound Agricultural Company has sea salt, and it actually has about $100 million in sea salt on its records. And that's a very mild like amount, because we have the capability for as much seawater as you can see, the Pacific Ocean all the way out, we can pull sea salt from there and sea minerals from there.
Wow.
And that's something we can go and put our hands on in 4 minutes. 100 million in sea salt. In 4 minutes, we can go and touch it. We actually have access to it. So this is not something that we, and then we already have the title, the land patent, all of that on the public record to all of that. And with regard to geological surveys and all of that, we have possession of it. We just need to replicate it, finish replicating it. The geological surveys that tell us, as much as they know, because they don't really know that much, and they won't know until it's dug up, the sea salt and so on and so forth. We know now. I could give a better geological survey with regard to the amount of sea salt in the sea than any of them could do, because the salinity levels I have personally done lab work with, and I know how to strengthen the sea salt, and I know how to make it weaker for those who want to use it as table salt. But sea salt can get pretty strong to where 1 teaspoonful will clean you out in 2 hours or less, and your whole body will be alkaline in 2 hours. Be prepared to go to the bathroom.
Islam, I have a question on that note. So when you do get to the point of distribution, are you gonna distribute like on a site or something? You're gonna give people the option to buy that strength?
Absolutely.
Islam.
Absolutely. Yep. Nothing will be withheld from the people, because that's why we are doing what we're doing in terms of that whole sea salt piece. Because the sea salt was actually what we were using for IVs to get people well again when they went into the hospital. That's where that whole IV bag, when someone's given an IV, it should have been saline solution, but they started changing it to chemicals. So people didn't realize that it was chemicals in the bag and not water that they were getting in their veins. They should have been getting salt water in their veins, and it should have been a drip, just a drip. And they started putting stuff in there that wasn't right. It was modified and genetically altered and all of that. So we have to bring back the proper IV and salinity levels and things like that for us. Because things like any disease, really, because disease is a matter of, are you too acidic? Then that's when disease comes, is when we're too acidic. And once our bodies are alkaline, and sea salt can do that, a drip of sea salt for 3 days, automatically you'll have an effect on the body that is positive. So, and we know that disease exists in an acidic environment. The cures have always been there. The cures have always been there. That's on the record. We needed to produce, and the sea salt is the way we do that. One of the ways, the salts of they're called the salts of salvation for a reason, and you can just Google salts of salvation. So that to me is something that we absolutely must have. So that's why we're doing all that we're doing too, is to get that out so that no more heirs have to leave here early for no reason. It's not even necessary. Because then they have to turn around and come right back. So, Are there any other questions, comments? There was more we were going to talk about in terms of Title 12, Chapter 16. Maybe I should probably just go ahead and put that up too, with regard to the FDIC, because the FDIC, they've been liened and all of that. By us, we're the first. The people are the first lien holders. 12 USC.
Islam, I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What would be, I'm kind of thinking about this, what would be the, I guess, pluses and minuses to turning your quote-unquote corporate, the birth certificate, into a religious organization?
What would be the advantages, you mean, of that?
Mm-hmm.
It would be another way to say you have an ecclesiastical designation for it.
Okay.
But you have that anyway by sanguinity and birthright.
Gotcha.
Islam is the ecclesiastical nature of the Moors is in our blood.
Islam.
Yeah. But if you wanted to use that and make that as a point, and use it to your advantage, by all means, do so.
Islam.
Yes, by all means, do so. I see where you're going, Empress, and that's a smart road. That's a smart road. Because the birth certificates have 3 designations when they were produced. The fraudulent ones had 3 designations. One was ecclesiastical. That means for your soul.
Mm-hmm.
That the Vatican was claiming, the fake Vatican, not the real one.
Mm-hmm.
And then it had the other 2. One is physical, and the other is let me see. There's physical, spiritual, and there's another one, and I'll have to look back at those canons for the 3 war rants that were issued with those that come with those birth certificates. Because with every one that was issued, 3 war rants were issued and put into the treasury, quote unquote.
That way you take everything back. Yeah.
Yes. We must do that. Some don't feel like all of this is necessary. If they don't feel like it's necessary, they don't have to do it. They're sovereign. We're going to take back everything, because it's our stuff. And really, it was previously shown as abandoned when it's not. We're right here. Islam nobility.
Islam, the term is mental.
Huh? Mental?
Mental.
I was going to say consciousness. But there's 3 terms that I specifically saw written in the canons that I wanted to discuss with regard to that, or just mention rather, not discuss, but just mention. But mental is close. Consciousness and mental is the same thing. You're absolutely right, nobility. Islam, absolutely, yeah. Here on the screen is, and I believe it's on the screen. Let's see. Let me make sure. Yeah. Is where the FDIC is concerned regarding insured depository institutions. And notice the capitalization or lack thereof. This means this is the real deal. Termination of insurance. Now, more with regard to the FDIC, and this is why the people had to lien them, because it doesn't matter how big the financial acquisition or claim was. Let's just say they said, "Oh, J.P. Morgan Chase is worth $675 billion." Well, let me just say the FDIC would do an insurance policy on that 600 and something billion and take that into their inventory. So that's going to actually double that amount in the economic system. It's going to double it. And that's why Warren Buffett said what he said about insurance. He said insurance is the greatest invention since sliced bread, I think, or something like that. Because it doesn't matter how big the financial transaction is or how small, it gets doubled when it's insured. Because the insurance company will always be bigger than any financial institution. The Treasury is big. Our Treasury is big. But our insurance of it doubles it in our economy. And all corporations that are under the United States Corporation Company, either one of them, the dead one or this living one, they're insured. And so that's where bonding and all of that comes from, which is a separate issue from insuring the actual conveyance of the transaction. Right now we're just talking about the movement of the money. That has to be insured so that the companies, you've heard of banks being quote unquote too big to fail and all of that. It's because of the FDIC is what they were saying. They said, okay, if we don't have the capacity to pay the people that we've taken that we've used as capital, then the FDIC can pay them. Well, in order for us to capitalize on that particular insurance policy, we actually had to create a creditor side of the books which we have done successfully. And now we can say, okay, we can receive in the goods. And anything out there, it says here, right here at 1818A, termination of insurance. Voluntary termination. Any insured depository institution which is not a national member bank, a state member bank, a federal branch, a federal savings association, or an insured branch which is required to be insured under that particular subsection, may terminate such depository institution status as an insured depository institution if such insured institution provides written notice with their intent to terminate such status not less than 90 days before the effective date of such termination. But then when people find out that it's not FDIC insured or insured at all, do they really want to go there? No, they don't. And then it goes down further, involuntary termination. If the board of directors determines that an insured depository institution or the directors or trustees of an insured depository institution have engaged or are engaging in unsafe or unsound practices in conducting the business of the depository institution, an insured depository institution is in an unsafe or unsound condition, etc., then the board of directors shall notify the appropriate federal banking agency with respect to such institution, if other than the corporation, or the state banking supervisor of such institution of the board's determination. So the board can terminate insurance, involuntary termination for any institution that's not properly insured. That's another reason, and we've seen that on a micro level, whenever someone is driving down the street, quote unquote, and they are driving without insurance, quote unquote, then what do? They take the license from the person. That's the same thing. All they're saying is the board of directors has determined that you're not operating that license the way it should be operated, so we're going to terminate that. Terminate your insurance and then terminate your ability to quote unquote drive. And that is just as
Islam
equal in the record as if they had done it to Microsoft or anyone else when they do that to a person who is one of us or who we thought was one of us. We're more valuable. Islam, Justice Azim.
Yes. Speaking in terms of that, having no insurance through the fake corporation, that is so stated on the SR 22, what you just said.
Yeah.
So, yes. Now, if a Moore received that, they can just get a copy of that, redraft it, and put it on the Moore stationery, and also get a copy of the automobile policy. Say, for instance, if they don't have any corporate insurance on their conveyance, they can get a copy of it, basic auto policy, use the caption named uninsured motorist. That means that person who causes damage to you or your auto conveyance will be covered under the traditional corporation insurance so-called company. So you take that caption, put it on your stationery, the Moore stationery. Now you have uninsured motorist coverage, word for word, as quoted in the auto policy that they issued to the subjects. Do you follow me? See, the uninsured motorist, motorist protection. My sound is still out?
We can hear you now. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. The uninsured motorist protection is for you to protect you from parties who's operating a conveyance with no corporate insurance, auto insurance.
Mm-hmm.
That coverage is a percentage of the face value of the auto policy. So to make certain that you protect yourself, you use uninsured motorist coverage. And that keeps, say for instance, if a policyholder may pull you over, and like what you just said earlier, they basically take your so-called driving permit, so-called license or whatever. But if you show that to him on your stationary, that will be suffice enough for them to not to tow your conveyance.
Mm-hmm.
Or basically impound it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you meet the financial responsibilities of the so-called DMV. They never say insurance in their little handbook. It's always the financial responsibility. As long as you meet that, then no one's gonna take your conveyance on the subject end. So you take that and flip it to your advantage, and have that stated as an uninsured motorist. That's the protection against anyone out there who doesn't have coverage on their conveyance as they're rolling up and down the roadway. So you got basically coverage for yourself on both sides.
Islam, I like the way you stated that. You said that the DMV says nothing about insurance, but the financial obligation to cover. Essentially, that's what it's.
Yeah, exactly. And the public as a whole, the subject, interpret that as insurance. No. They're not quoting insurance per se, according to the insurance corporations and the fake corporate arena. They know that's the illusion. People believe that that's what they're saying, but that's not what it is at all. It's
that's
as long
deep.
as you show, yes.
That's very deep, because that's how they've been getting quote unquote fictitious wealthy, by creating the insurance. Because I remember seeing a video on Instagram, and this modern day European was breaking down how the so-called fictitious elite get wealthy by insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely.
Well, whatever they insure, they put that amount on their books, and when they put that amount on their books, that means that they've taken in more revenue, quote unquote. So if they, for example, if you have a conveyance and the conveyance is $20,000 a conveyance, and they quote unquote insure that conveyance, they actually take an interest in that conveyance, and they claim that on their books that they have a $20,000 conveyance on their books, in their inventory. That's how they get wealthy. Yeah. And then when it comes to putting that on the stock market, they put it on there too.
Yes.
All on debt. They've been doing this.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I have another one.
Okay, Empress, can I show this document, this insurance document really quickly? Because this is one that we did. This not that one. This is one that we did. We just replicated basically. Just a moment. We replicated. Is that USAA document showing on the screen?
Yes.
Islam, yes, it is.
Yeah, we just replicated what we had and put it, and there's the lien down here at the bottom on USAA, and then we just replicated. So we're showing financial responsibility with regard to the process and the product. Islam, Empress, you were going to say something? Empress? Islam, I believe. Was that Empress Rama that was going to say something?
No, I wasn't going to say anything. Islam.
Oh, somebody else was.
Islam, are you referring to when we were talking about?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, this is Navi. I was speaking about there's another way that I found out about on accident is when I did a insurance from the Postal Service, and I did a insurance for $21 on a piece of document for an estate document, and they lost the green card. And then I talked to the postmaster about them losing my green card, and they said, "Do you know how much that's worth?" And it didn't click of how much it was worth until later. She said, "That's over $20,000.
What was over $20,000?
The insurance. I put $21 on the piece of mail, so that was over $20,000 worth of insurance on that piece of mail, because they're silverback, the like. So you can also use that as insurance for your vehicle if you get the $21. The $21 insurance on a piece of mail, but have it for your vehicle. That's still your basically bond or insurance.
Islam.
That's what I've been using.
Islam. Well, we have a lot of different ways that we can do things. We have a lot of different ways that we can do things. And so that's why it's important for everyone to get active and get doing, go ahead and govern, because, when we first started doing this, we didn't know whether we were going to be doing everything right or what. But the ancestors said, get busy doing it. And now that we're here, everyone, we will say this, anybody that's Moorish American, that's activated and knows how to clear energy can govern. Any of us can govern, and we have a responsibility to do so. And how we do that is based on what the ancestors lead us to do, and then also listening, coming together like this and hearing what each other has to say, and looking at the processes that we use. We're learning so much about how to govern our land, So,
Islam.
And we're being given the answers. Islam, nobility.
Take in consideration your domicile. The so-called banks have credit life and credit disability that they have impounded against your account. So a lot of them don't explain that to you. So people just pay that along with their so-called mortgage payment. It's all inclusive. So that is your property as well. Those are your assets. Islam.
Is there any other wisdom Islam. Go ahead, Empress.
Yes. Greetings. How are you?
Greetings. All is well, Empress. How are you?
I'm learning. Yes, I'm happy to be here. I'm calling from the Houston Territory in Texas.
Islam.
Yes, and I was wondering if there was someone here that I might be able to connect with. Just, I don't know anyone.
Okay. Are there any Moors at Houston Territory on the call? Any Moors at Houston Territory? If you could, please *6. I know we have had Moors, and I know for sure there are Moors who listen to the call that are Houston Territory.
Right. Because
so, Empress, They will be listening, and they will probably reach out under the video on YouTube. So check back occasionally.
Okay. Also, will you be able to put your number where I can speak with you, or what's the text number that you have?
Sure. So I have WhatsApp. Do you have WhatsApp?
WhatsApp? Okay.
WhatsApp. And it's 334 294 9828.
9828. So I just need to download the WhatsApp app.
Yeah.
The light.
Yes, Light Tajiri Bay.
Okay, I might.
And Islam. And what is your first appellation, Empress?
My first name is Regina.
Regina, that's so beautiful.
Regina.
That is so beautiful.
Oh, Regina.
I'm glad you're here, Empress Regina.
Everybody come here, Regina. Regina Richie Long.
Really?
Yes.
Did you say Regina Richie Long?
Yes, Regina Yvette Richie Long.
And how do you spell Richie?
R-I-C-H-I-E. I don't know if that's correct, but I was going to check with the family to see.
Well, we have both in our family, R-I-C-H-I-E and R-I-T-C-H-I-E.
Yes, I was going to check with the older one. Well, they're older than me a little bit, but yeah, so, you know.
Islam. Islam. Hey, sis.
Hey, I love it. But also, I need the document so I don't know how to do my head and do the picture and put it on stationery so I can declare.
Okay. So the stationery that's on the screen right now, it should be up there. Let me make sure I'm putting it up there. Our letterhead is just a moment. Let me make sure I get it up there. Yeah, there it is. So our letterhead is on the screen, and generally there's some documents underneath the video where you can download the letterhead.
Okay. And so if I want to do my identification card,
yes,
where do I put my pictures? Or how do I do it?
So do you want to do it yourself, or do you want to order it?
I can order it. Just send pictures.
Okay. Because you can do your own ID card too. If you want to do your own ID card, and I can put mine on the screen so that you can see what ours looks like. Okay. If you want to do it that way, or if you want to order it, we can give you some information on who to order it from.
Okay, that'd be well too, because I need it immediately. So.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, it's actually, I believe, Justice Abbasi Talib Bey is who you would contact to get in touch with him about ordering an ID card.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see the chat, Empress?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I see just the phone. No.
Okay. I am going to. So let's see. I put his email in the chat.
I see it.
You see it?
Yep.
Abbasi Talib in the chat?
Yes.
Okay. You can email him and he can get you an ID card.
Okay. CA.
Okay.
Okay.
Glad you're here, Empress. Welcome.
I'm glad to be here. I finally got able to get up here. I got that computer savvy.
Yeah.
That's why I don't know how to do all this.
It'll come, Empress. It will come, because we're all doing things that we just did not know we could do.
I know. I'm excited about this.
Yeah. That's the thing that I love about Moorish science is our ancestors. They meant for us to do everything, and they gave us the wherewithal to do it. We have what we need to do it.
Right. Because I mean, I know they told us, they didn't tell us much. I mean, but we're supposed to have a place to live.
Yes.
And everything is supposed to be free, but we didn't know.
Well, it's actually prepaid. Free is not necessarily the right term. Prepaid is the right term.
Prepaid. Okay.
Because they're the ones who prepaid for everything.
So how will we access it and use that to gain domicile? I mean, even an apartment or a townhome.
We just went over that part. I just showed you how the ones that were previously claiming everything. That's the process that they use. We're going to replicate that process.
Okay.
But the first step is always going to be proclaiming your nationality. Always
yes,
first. Get that done first. We all have gotten that done first. And then from there, we study the processes, and then we demonstrate the processes.
Okay.
The documents that I showed today was from a demonstration that I did, and they gave all the keys and all the answers to how to demonstrate getting a building.
I can believe it. Yes, the whole building.
Yeah, but Empress, I will say this, that we were tested along the way before we were handed that key. Mm-hmm. We were tested along the way. Mm-hmm. With regard to that same building, we were tested along the way, but we're not afraid of testing because that's why we're here, is to grow into who we are, knowing that we are the law and we are the government.
Yes.
So there is some testing involved in demonstrating simply because we have to do things we've not done in this lifetime before. But the ancestors have our backs, our fronts, our sides, our up and down. They got us all day, every day.
Yes.
Yeah. We are protected.
We are protected? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Empress, it's so good to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you, too. It is good to talk to you, too. By bloodline and birthright, we're protected.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We shall connect again.
Islam. Islam. So, are there any other wisdom questions, comments from this great grand assembly, congressional assembly of the sovereign, original, indigenous, ancient Moors? The highest court at earth, heaven and at earth. Okay. Justice Morpheus, we'll just start her with nationality with those first 6 documents. We know, Justice Morpheus and all Moors, we know that we don't want to overwhelm anyone, but we knew that we had to take things as far as we could take them. We know that we're the documentation and the things that we're doing are things that were not put on the public record previously. We know that. We know that no one had told us about capitalism and putting things in red, and then putting things, and red was the land jurisdiction, and blue is admiralty, and maritime, and black is corporate. No one told us those things, So we know that this particular congressional body has put things on the public record in our processes that were not told to us before. And so we don't want to overwhelm anyone with what we put out there, knowing that we're doing this all together. We are one. And those first 6 documents right there, name change and judicial proclamation, a termination of all corporate contracts, a lien on the straw and the social security number so that you can present your sovereign security number, which is the same sequence of numbers, but it's properly stated. A lien on the United States Corporation Company, a proclamation of trust, and then the 6th document is the fiduciary document stating that you govern your estate and not some foreign entities. Those 6 documents right there, is the start and the foundation of all that we do. You know, what we wanted to do, Moors, is take the processes further than we had ever seen, so that we can actually get, you know, the possession of the land the way that we know we can. So, yes, we know that the land is ours. We just need to be competent to demonstrate that, and that's why we're here. So it does seem like we've put a lot of processes out there and things like that. Of course we have. We're going to continue to do that because we know that it took the foreigners 100 and something years, but it has only taken us a very short time to get where we are right now. Less than 5 years for us, for this iteration of the Moorish American Consulate, the Moorish National Republic federal government, the Empire State, the United States, and the several states. You know, so yeah, we want to get everyone started, and we want to make it so that the new Moors get it also. You know.
Thank you.
Islam, you're welcome, Empress. Governing it's our right, and it's also a joy and a privilege to do so.
Thank you.
Islam.
All right. How do I turn down?
Islam. Yes. So, are there any other comments from any of this great Congress? And then Justice Amos asked, is there a template for the new government letterhead? No. It's not new. It's the same letterhead that we've been using. So it hasn't really changed. There's a couple of nuances that are there, but those are not necessary for Moors to demonstrate who they are. You know. With that being said, we will adjourn, and we will meet again on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam, peace and grand rising.
Islam. Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Peace and grand rising. Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam.